Alright, so we're going to be getting into this game. Darkforce is going to be playing up against CrunCher. This is a Zerg versus Protoss on Crossfire SE. And I am so excited. Kaldor, I mean, we've been doing this. How do you feel about this coming up match, man?
I'm really excited about it, especially because with Darkforce we have another German player in the NASL, and he's starting at the bottom left as the red Zerg player right now. So Darkforce from Germany will try to defeat CrunCher on this map on Crevasse. CrunCher starting at the top right in blue. And for a Zerg player, this map is really hard to play if it comes to a mid or late game, as all those bottlenecks can be used with force fields really well. You can divide the army of the Zerg player. And Darkforce himself told me that he prefers to play, for example, an all-in if his opponent decides to go for a fast expansion or for an early expansion. He tries to all-in him, but that he has really a lot of trouble playing a macro game on a crevasse, as it's really hard for him to use ground units on that map. So I think that Darkforce will check really soon. Will check out what his opponent is doing, trying to scout what CrunCher is up to, and if he's really going for a fast expansion, we might see an all-in by the German player. And CrunCher on this map, well, basically what he wants to do is to get a nice ground army, get some force field, and make use of all those rams, all those chokes, all those bottlenecks and cliffs.
Indubitably, and I think because of that, there's going to be Darkforce is going to have to adapt to this individual map. We're going to see how he is going to be able to deal with the constant, force field threat. There's a lot of great places, as you said, to be able to force field Zerg armies. So we're going to see how he deals with that and how he's going to adapt. And we can also see a spawning pool is going up for Darkforce. So both these players are going to be playing extremely standard. Again, the spawning pool is pretty necessary, as you need to get the Zerglings out as fast as possible to be able to claim your expansion.
Yeah, exactly. Some patches ago, a lot of Zerg players decided to go for a 15 or even a 16 hatch against Protoss as well. Nowadays, it's basically only used against Terran players, because a Protoss, even if he's just building a gateway, he can still cancel his gateway and go for a forge and just cannon rush your expansion. It's sometimes really tricky. It's not so easy, because what the Zerg player will do, he will just use all his drones, not all of them, but quite a lot of them, to try to kill the pylon or the cannon itself. And if the Zerg player is doing a good job at that, then it is really hard to cannon rush him. But quite a lot of Protoss players really have perfected that style and are able to keep their probe alive, as well as use the mineral patches as a little bit of blockage against the incoming probe. So right now, playing 14 gas and 14 pool is a safe way to go, and that's exactly what Darkforce decided to do.
Indeed, we can see the pylon was put down by CrunCher. CrunCher is just going to deny this expansion yet a little bit more time, and meanwhile we can see a lot of chrono boost being saved up in this individual nexus. So we can see it's going to be chrono boosted, one on the warp gate, one on the stalker, going to be able to force out these units, and we are seeing two assemblators. So I'm thinking it's going to be something like a 3 warp gate timing.
And right now Darkforce has a drone in the main base of his opponent, so he's still able to get some scouting information. But the Stalker is out now, and a nice save. Oh no, he wasn't able to save that drone, but he did a really good job at that. Just was sliding past the Zealot, so a really nice job by Darkforce, but it didn't do him any good, as the Stalker just moved in for the kill. So CrunCher reacted perfectly and just tried to focus that drone with the Stalker, which he managed to do. Darkforce just throwing down another hatchery, going for his expansion, and we see the Stargate. We see the Stargate for CrunCher, so he decides to put that gas to some use and is adding another tech building.
Wow, so really changing it up, actually. He looked like he was going some sort of warp gate push in the beginning. He had just had so many, but I think he was playing to that metagame style, and CrunCher now going to get that early Stargate, and I'm thinking it's going to be Void Rays, but I'm not completely sure. I would assume it's going to be Void Rays, though, because you want to get that power hitting units going.
Yeah, one thing that you can always do as a Protoss player is just play one Void Ray and immediately follow up by one Phoenix, so that you can attack your opponent, lift off the Queen, and just attack it with a Phoenix. So that might be what CrunCher is doing right now. He's rallying his Void Ray to the edge of his base, and in the meantime we have Darkforce setting up a Roach Warren, producing the first few roaches. He has some lings on the field as well, and it's just making sure that the Protoss player isn't walking down that ramp, has some circlings in position, and he might even know really soon that there's a Void Ray on the field. There's one Overlord, and the Overlord detects the Void Ray.
No.
Perfect scouting by Darkforce. Really well done.
Yeah, so we're going to see how he's going to be able to deal with this. An Evolution Chamber should be going down pretty fast for Darkforce. He needs some way to be able to deal with this. Actually, a Queen on the way. So he's going to just use Queens to be able to deal with these incoming Void Rays. And now the push out by CrunCher is going to come to fruition. We can see him just taking control of these Xel'Naga towers. And meanwhile, a second Void Ray is on its way out. Going to be extremely powerful in dealing with this Zerg army.
And the Phoenix is coming as well. And the Darkforce was actually supply blocked, so that's one reason why he didn't produce more Queens, but he's not adding a fourth. He has 3 Queens, and it's just defending against that Void Ray. Has some Roaches, and is producing Zerglings as well. Might go for an early attack right there. Is now using the Queens for some creep tumors, and Darkforce is normally really well known for his creep spread, so he's really he's really concentrating a lot on just setting tumors and spreading his creep, but now the Void Rays are just moving in, and immediately those 2 Queens are attacking the Void Rays. CrunCher focusing on the drones and retreating as soon as the shields on his Void Rays are gone.
Yeah, I love that harass, but still, these are pretty hefty investments to just get a couple like that. I think he needs a little bit more attack or a little bit more damage on his opponent. We do see that in response, Darkforce is getting many Queens. We can see 2 in queue as this lair is coming up for Darkforce. We're going to see how Darkforce actually goes ahead and defends against or transitions to tech. I'm not sure. I think we might be just experiencing some huge amounts of ground play and just going to be taking ground control, but I'm not sure completely. I mean, the most telling thing is the 3rd and 4th gas hasn't been taken, so it's kind of not indicative of a fast fire.
We have a Hydra list then being set up by Darkforce, so he's going for Roach Hydra right now, and the Protoss player added his expansion, so we see a second Nexus for CrunCher. Yeah. He has a Forge out as well, and might just use it to get some upgrades early on. The 2 photon cannons just make sure that there are no hidden, no borrowed Roaches. This would be especially brutal for CrunCher with his Void Ray play, because he's just now about to add his robotics facility, so detection would be out quite late, and Darkforce already finished his lair a long time ago, so he could have gone for some borrowed Roaches, which would be also one way to deal with those force fields.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, burrowed roaches are going to be a very good counter to the force fields, but keep in mind that CrunCher doesn't have to use a ton of force fields to be able to segment and make sure that the burrowed roaches don't pop up. So it might be, I mean, still the map is giving a little leeway to CrunCher. He has a nice defensive position, especially with the amount of sentries he has. We're going to look to see how he's going to be progressing into this game. I think Colossus are going to be a great unit to be getting pretty soon, as we can already see the Robo Bay is being created as we speak.
And we have upgrades for the Protoss player as well as for the Zerg. He's researching the grouped spine upgrades as well as Glal reconstitution, and of course the evolution chamber is being used to get some upgrades as well. The +1 attack upgrade for Darkforce, and the Protoss player is doing exactly the same, whereas the Zerg is using his third base. He's just throwing down a hatchery, trying to get a third base up and running, and of course one of his main objectives will have to be to prevent that third base from the Protoss player, because for Zerg player it's really hard to play against a Protoss that has that's mining out of 3 bases. Indeed,
and we can see that this Phoenix is getting around here, going to be able to get a really good scout. And I think that's such a strong play of him. He's going to be able to see exactly what his opponent is capable of. We're going to see, I do believe, yes, CrunCher has been able to see the bottom right-hand corner, so it's going to be very advantageous to him. Right now, it's just shaping up to be a very economic-centric game. We can see the harvester count is very close, 56 harvesters to 54. So not too much of a differentiation between the two players. They're just going to be massing up actually a lot of Void Rays. So CrunCher starting up with this very large Void Ray count extremely early.
And he's adding third base as well. At the top left, he's just warping in his Nexus, and Darkforce already scouted that, so he knows about the attempt to get a third base of the Protoss player. And CrunCher is, at the moment, as you already said, he's relying on Void Rays. He's still producing more and more Void Rays, is also getting Colossi, and it's quite a common mix when you face a Zerg player. It's one basic strategy that you kind of go for a lot of Void Rays, a lot of Colossus as well. And, well, it's a little bit hard to counter sometimes. If the Protoss is able to get a crucial number of Void Rays, then it's really hard to deal with them, because a typical Zerg would go for Corruptors, and Corruptors are kind of countered by Void Rays themselves, so it's really, really hard to defend against that mix. And Mutalisks are one way to go, but the main problem is that the Protoss will be able to react. In order to produce this kind of army, a Protoss player basically has to play on 3 bases, and if he has 3 bases, then he will be able to get Phoenixes out if need be, and so Mutalisks play is kind of risky. It's really hard to counter that, and I'm eager to know how Darkforce decides to play against the opponent using that kind of strategy.
Indeed, but I have to say, Darkforce's creep spread is absolutely
it's amazing, isn't it?
As you were saying before, just an amazing sight to behold. It is just everywhere. I see red dots all around, purple filling in the entire half of the map at only 15 minutes into the game. This guy is really, really exceptional at his creep spread, but I'm unsure whether he's going to be able to deal with this army. I mean, Void Rays are extremely, extremely strong, and that in conjunction with the very powerful Colossus and the sentries to force field, I'm not sure if Darkforce is going to be able to be ready for this incoming pressure.
One problem if you try to counter those Void Rays with the Corruptors is that you need a follow-up, you need your Hive. That's exactly why Darkforce is adding his Infestation Pit right now. He needs to tag to his Hive so he can put the Corruptors to some use if he actually manages to defeat the army of his opponent by just morphing them into Broodlords. And he's going for 4th base as well. So Darkforce is trying to claim the rich mineral fields on his side of the map while tagging to the Hive and getting more and more upgrades for his army, as is CrunCher, who's adding some gateways as well. And by now, the creep spread reached the army of the base of the Protoss player. So very well done by Darkforce.
Indeed. Oh, and he actually kills his own Stalker on accident. So CrunCher is going to come out here. Going to be just denying some of this creep. It's very important that he doesn't engage on here, but it does look like the Zerg army is nowhere near his opponent. Both of them just approaching this max army, and we're going to see a Hive is on the way, so no Broodlords out to deal with this yet, but still just the impending attack from these 6 Void Rays and the group of Colossus is extremely scary for our Zerg player.
Yeah, but Darkforce has a lot of Corruptor out on the field already. He has 18 Corruptors and he's building 6 more. He will be on 24 Corruptors against only 8 Void Rays. And I think he will definitely win that air battle and be able to take out those Colossi. He is about to finish his Hive tag. His 4th base is up and running. Has some Zerglings sneaking into the expansion of his opponent. Might just take out those two cannons, but there's one Void Ray and the Zealots are joining the Void Ray as well, so there's no way that Darkforce can actually break through right there. And now CrunCher is moving into the base of his opponent.
Oh man, this is great position for him to be taking. It's so hard to be attacking up into this ramp, and look at this blinking just to make sure, looking where his opponent is. Force fields very nicely, and going to be able to get these Corruptors in here. Going to be corrupting most of these units. The Hydras and Roaches are just getting destroyed on the bottom, and the Corruptors just going to work now, clearing up all of this Protoss army. But there is no Zerg army on the bottom, and I'm really scared for Darkforce. He's able to clear up all of the Roaches and Hydras beforehand. Now this is the big timing for CrunCher. CrunCher needs to do a lot of damage. 18 Hydras and 18 Zerglings are trying to be produced right now, but I don't know if he's going to be able to get them out there, as there is a really nice force field on this ramp. Going to be able to segment a lot of the main from the natural, and now finally reinforcement units are on the way.
Yeah, and at the same time, CrunCher tried to sneak in some solace to the goal expansion of his opponent, but those 3 spine crawlers were able to defend against the ground army, and now Darkforce is moving in once again. I think he made a mistake by letting the Colossi kill all those ground units. He should have retreated after those force fields were placed, because there were enough Corruptors out on the field anyways, despite those Stalkers, and now CrunCher is just trying to clear the Corruptors up. This greater spy attack is already done, so he could morph Brood Lords right now, but he's lacking gas, he's lacking the minerals, he's just using those Zerglings, trying to hit the ground army, and has to GG. CrunCher taking the first map.
Yeah, so CrunCher's going to take that first game very, very nicely. Again, it was kind of off. I didn't know who was going to win that final battle. I think, crucially, like you said, if he went ahead and just sent in his Corruptors, I think he would have been able to deal with the air and the Colossus pretty efficiently. But his Roaches and his Hydras doing absolutely 0 damage really affected him being able to defend a little bit later. And on top of that, he didn't have Broodlords out in time, which, of course, it was very hard to. He didn't have Broodlords out in time, and CrunCher was able to take that game. So showing that, hey, he's not just 4 gates, he's not just cheese. CrunCher can go ahead, play into that late game, and play super proficiently. Alright, so we're going to be going into our second game momentarily. I think we are setting up as we speak, yes. And here we have it. Going into the second game, it is going to be on Backwater Gulch. Alright, so starting off into game number 2. This is week 1. Day 2, it is Call CrunCher, that is Complexity CrunCher, against ATN's Darkforce. Right now, CrunCher is up 1-0, and the map is going to Backwater Gulch.
And we have the player from Germany, the Zerg player, starting at the top right position as the red Zerg, whereas the Protoss player is starting at the bottom left. So we have cross position on Backwater Gulch. And the Protoss took the first map, and Darkforce didn't have too much to throw against his opponent. He overdid it a little bit with those Corruptors, and his ground army got annihilated with the help of those force fields. So right now, Darkforce has to mix it up a little bit. He might try a different strategy on this map. All depends on what the Protoss player is going to do. If we are going to see him relying on his mix once again with the Void Rays and the Colossi, or if he's actually trying a different strategy right now that Darkforce can adapt to.
Yeah, I think Darkforce is a bit fortunate, too, to have these cross positions, as it's much easier for him to manage completely, and he's going to be looking to, get back in that game. I know last game was a bit tough. He kind of overcompensated with those Corruptors, as you said before. But I think he's going to be really, really strong going into this game, as it's going to suit him better as the more economic style.
Darkforce isn't too happy about the map. I mean, Backwater Gulch is might be kinda annoying as a Zerg player, but still, I think that he's a lot better off with this map than he was on the map before, because as we already mentioned, the force field on Kurvas were really, really hard for him to deal with. Although, as we already mentioned, I think that losing his ground army in front of those force fields where they had no chance of attacking the Protoss player was maybe a little bit unnecessary. But right now, Darkforce once again going for the same build. He's going for the 14 pool as well as the...
I'm sorry, pylon. Look at that proxy pylon in the bottom of
my God,
Darkforce base. I'm sorry to cut you off right there, but that is a huge, huge pylon. If Darkforce doesn't see that, he could be in a lot of trouble. And we can see this Overlord doesn't look like it's going to be going to the bottom position. Oh my God, so CrunCher might be able to sneak this in.
I definitely didn't see that pylon. I was totally concentrated on Darkforce's build order, and it didn't scroll down, but you're perfectly right. Darkforce doesn't know about that pylon, and his Overlord is just out of position. He doesn't see anything that's at the bottom of his map. So that's actually kind of a ballsy play for CrunCher. I didn't expect him to do something like that.
Oh, and I love this. Actually, CrunCher putting up another assimilator, so it's going to look like he's going to be going a multiple like a 3 warp gate type of play, looking very standard. He can't be thinking, hey, I'm in cross position, there's going to be some early pressure going on. There is no way that he's thinking that, but instead he's going to be putting this similar down, and I wouldn't be surprised if in a little bit after he gets this drone out of this...
but wait a second. Look at the overlord, and its scouting patterns.
Oh my god, he's going to be able to see it. Yes, he does. That's a huge pick. Oh my gosh, and Darkforce is going to be able to see exactly that there is a pylon on the field, and it looks like his attack, or his eventual attack, is going to be thwarted very momentarily.
I'm really impressed by that scouting. I mean, look at the overlord at the waypoints. The overlord is just commanded to go to the right and immediately back to the left. So that's exactly what he was scouting for. He's scouting for that exact pylon, and that's just so huge by Darkforce. I wouldn't have expected him to do that, and I'm really impressed.
Yeah, definitely. Just marks of a truly strong player. And look at this. CrunCher is actually going and expanding. What a cheeky guy. And also a Stalker gets caught way out of position. He was trying to get that Stalker out there to actually divert some attention from that pylon. The pylon was going to be taken out, and the Stalker going to be taken out. I don't know how CrunCher is going to be able to deal with his individual Nexus, because the individual Zerglings, because the Zerglings are going to be able to get in here, and I don't think he has any response to defending this Nexus.
No, not at all. He definitely has to cancel that Nexus, and Darkforce already has an overload in place as well to scout if need be. So that's actually a nice play by Darkforce. He might just focus on killing that Nexus, which is not what he's doing. He's trying to take out that sentry, but well, I think he should have focused on that Nexus. With a little bit of micro, he might have been able to force the CrunCher to cancel the Nexus, but anyways, he knows what's happening and is just droning up, so he's just retreating, building more drones, and CrunCher is just adding a Stargate. He's once again adding a Stargate and might rely on Phoenixes rather than Roidways this time.
Indeed, and he really likes the Stargate play. I can see continually actually putting out a Void Ray, so is going to be just massing up in this ground army, well, his actual magnitude of his army. I think that's a more intelligent choice. Again, he could be going up against something like Roach Zergling all in, so to get that really fast Void Ray is extremely important. Now we can see CrunCher just walling off with a Forge. He's going to be setting up to be playing extremely defensive, I think.
And we have the lair tech finished for Darkforce, and he's immediately researching Burrow. He's researching Burrow, going for Roaches, and is researching glider reconstitution for the Roaches, some speed for his first range units, and he might just go for... I don't think that he will actually research the tunneling claws just yet, but still with the Burrow he will be able to heal his Roaches way faster, so we might see a Roach push by Darkforce, but we also have the first photon cannon for CrunCher, so there's some detection on its way.
Indeed, so CrunCher is going to be pretty set up right here. Again, just blocking off this one passageway, plus the 5 sentries are going to keep him very safe. And now he's going to be pressuring up. We've seen him do this multiple times. He's going to be rallying a lot of Phoenixes towards this individual Void Ray, and the power of Void Ray Phoenix is really strong. Going to be able to take out Queens extremely fast, and now going to be able to scout in here, see exactly what's going on, sees the one Hydralisk Den, and I'm not sure if he's going to be actually pressuring whatsoever just yet, but we can see that he's getting a good look around all of Darkforce's base.
Yeah, thanks to his creep, Darkforce already knows about the Void Ray, so he has scouted it, and he is safe against airplay anyways due to his Hydralisk 5 in production right now, and we have the group spines, the range upgrade for the Hydralisk being researched as well. He's relying on his economy. Once again, he's on 15 drones against 39 probes, has a decent income, 1,500 minerals per minute, and is probably going to add a third base really soon, whereas CrunCher is adding his robotic space. So we will see once again Colossi for the Protoss player against the Zerg, pretty standard, and of course also some upgrades, ground weapons, level 1 research in the fort right now with the help of the occasional chrono boost.
So yeah, so we can see this is a common trend among CrunCher. He really likes to just start massing up the what he thinks is the strongest army composition. No doubt it is one of the strongest army compositions. This air plus the Colossus. But he is kind of behind just because he's only on 4 gases, but this constant pressure is delaying the third. I really love this. This is exactly what he needs to do. Delay the third so much of his Zerg opponent, and with that he can get, in relativity, get his army composition really, really situated. I really like his play.
Spire being built for Darkforce, so he will be able to build some corrupts in order to deal with those Colossi. His third base is on his way, and he already killed the rocks, the destructible rocks to the right side of his natural, so he is also able to get a fourth base if need be. He has overlords in place as well as Zerglings, knows about the movement of his opponent. He knows that the Protoss player is still on 2 bases, which is exactly what he wants. And CrunCher adding a Twilight Council. He's once again relying on Colossi and Void Ray, as you already mentioned, adding some Warp Gates though nonetheless, and we have the Twilight Council on its way. We will see Blink Stalkers probably once again, and right now CrunCher he might try to get a third base, but it's really, really dangerous for him to move out of his base right now, because Darkforce is just scouting very well and will know about the movements of the Protoss player, and of course try to prevent a third base as fast as possible.
You know, this army composition by CrunCher is extremely gas intensive. We can see Void Rays, Colossus, Stalkers, Sentries. It's very hard to get all this, plus all the upgrades that they need. So, in terms of his supply, we can already see a 36 difference in supply. 136 for Darkforce, 100, well, it just shot up to 109 for CrunCher. But it's very hard for him to mass in units. It's really, he's pulled all over the place. So developing these units, it's going to be hard to expand, hard to go ahead and stay defensive, especially on a map like Backwater Gulch. But we're going to see how he does it. I like this play, actually putting on photon cannons, knowing that he really cannot invest in too many zealots or too many gateway units, because he wants to put those gateways to the more expensive, the stronger units. He's going to go ahead and make cannons and just start to slowly push his way and zone out his entire side of his map to be able to get his 5th and 6th gas. I really love CrunCher's play.
Darkforce once again is adding creep tumors, so he's spreading his creep towards his opponent, and that nexus of CrunCher is being warped in right now. Really smart, and those cannons only a mineral. A little bit mineral intensive. He has about 700 minerals invested right there in order to make his expansion safe, and we have another pylon being added. And Darkforce in the meantime, once again, infestation pit for him, wants to take to the hive, wants to put those corruptors to some use as soon as they are done with the Void Rays and the Colossi, wants to get some Brood Lords, and he might even be able to get them out this time, because I don't see CrunCher pushing anytime soon.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, CrunCher is still on only 3 Colossus. We can see he's not even producing that much right now. But just slowly building up that Void Ray count, slowly building up that Colossus count, and just looking to play at that in-game stage. And I think it's going to be up to Darkforce to actually shut down whatever CrunCher is doing. He needs to have that constant pressure and either out-mobilize the army or just catch it off guard somewhere. But I think if he just waits until CrunCher's 200-200, there's not much that Darkforce can do, as I think the army composition for our Protoss player is going to be way, way too weak.
We have 2 more expansions being built for Darkforce. He's taking his 4th base at the right side of the map, and on the left side we have the 5th base, and moving in with them with some Zerglings, just taking a look at what's happening. And we have the 3rd attack upgrade coming up for the Protoss player, whereas Darkforce is relying on 2 attack upgrades and just trying to get armor upgrades as well. And he's also getting Overlord speed, so he might be able to use his creep spread with the Overlord as well. Blink being researched now for CrunCher, and those Zerglings are just attacking the destructible rocks, trying to get another possible access to the base of his opponent. And CrunCher is basically really content with the situation. He has some cannons up at his 3rd base. His army is just waiting for Darkforce to approach, and he's just taking it easy, and as you already said, trying to get this massive army, trying to maximize the supply. And Darkforce is already on nearly 200. He's on 193 supply right now. and adding another base, adding a 6th base at the top left.
Yeah, he sure does love his expansion. Now we can see Zerglings are going to be able to get into this natural over here. Not going to be able to do much, though, as this huge army is just going to clear things up. But in the bottom right-hand position, we do have the Zerglings, the second half of the Zerglings, going to be pushing in here. Now, I think Darkforce just want to use these to both scout, do a little bit of pressure, but really to free up supply, as the Greater Spire, we can see, is just about to be finished. Let's go back to the Greater Spire. Yes, it's about to pop up. We can see... go ahead, pop up. Well, it's going to be a little bit till it pops up, but he needs that supply so that he can make these Broodlords. He does have quite a bit of units out on the field. 15 Corruptors are out, and as soon as he gets that Greater Spire, it is out.
Mothership!
Broodlords.
Nice.
Oh my goodness.
That's brilliant. I love that. I love motherships. Motherships are just awesome.
Yeah, so is going to be making Mothership coming out of here. Wow, brilliant. And actually, Mothership doesn't show up. Oh, this is the Units tab. The Production tab, of course. Going to be making a Mothership. Unbelievable. And, ooh, actually, a huge battle is going to go on the middle of the map. Nice force fields are going to be able to go down. The Colossus is a little bit out of position. Oh, they don't have Thermal Lancers. Oh, no. And all of these are going to be fungal growth immediately. Corruptors are going to be able to get into position. There is no ground army for
There are not enough
both
Corruptors
of these
for
players,
Darkforce.
actually, anymore.
He's just losing all those Corruptors. And did you see about the Infestors? I mean, he lost so many Infestors. He got 2 Fungals off, but there were 5 Infestors, and way too many of them died to the army of his opponent. So that's really a huge problem. And you pointed out perfectly. We don't have extended thermal lance for CrunCher, and I think he didn't even realize it. I mean, he has so many minerals, he has so much gas, but he doesn't research the extended thermal lance. So I don't think that he even realized his mistake.
Man,
while
that is...
Yeah, go on, sorry.
Huge blunder for him, and now we can see Darkforce is just going around. I love this. All Darkforce needs to do is buy some time so that he can remax. His army is a lot more expendable, but he does need that a little bit of time to max, and these Zerglings are proving to be the perfect solution to giving him that time. And now we can see that Darkforce is going to be cleared up over here, but look in the tab, 180 supply to 160 supply by CrunCher.
Did you see what he just searched? I see a Zerg mothership coming up.
Oh,
we have Infestors with Neural Parasite. This is going to be awesome. If you really manage to Neural Parasite that mothership, this is going to be great. But there's already an observer out with the army, so at least CrunCher will be able to see the units if actually Darkforce managed to do so.
No.
And here comes the fight. The Fungals immediately, Fungals by the Infestors, and the Blink Stalkers are just trying to spread a little bit. Here comes the mothership. Darkforce immediately retreating, and once again CrunCher uses Blink to chase down those units. Really nice job by the Protoss player so far, and the Zerg player is struggling quite a lot.
Indeed, and oh, the fungal growth is going to go, oh, a huge vortex is going to be able to take out most of those units. The Broodlords are caught way out of position. Now Infestors are trying to get in here. One fungal growth does go down. Now, keep in mind, they are going to be invincible for 1.5 seconds. Now they're going to be able to come up. All the units are going to be splashed upon. The Roaches and Hydras get destroyed as soon as they come out, and CrunCher looking super strong with this mothership army.
Yeah, definitely. Now he's moving to the right of the map, killing another expansion. Really good job by CrunCher. He's amazing right now. He has a really strong army. Darkforce had a little bit of trouble earlier on already when he tried to kill those Void Rays with his Corruptors. He didn't have enough of them. And once again, the Stalkers just blink in, kill those Overseers. That Darkforce just morphed in order to be able to spot the invisible units. So right now the Zerg player from Germany is in a lot of trouble. CrunCher's ahead with 50 supply and is about to kill all the expansions of Darkforce, just cutting him off from his income and therefore winning the game.
CrunCher just has the winning army composition right now, just muscling his way across the map anywhere he goes. Now this is a really bad position for the Zerg player, but he's going to be able to get some nice fungal growths off. Still, I don't think it's going to be enough as a huge blink. Going to be able to take out this expansion very, very quickly. 6 Infestors and 34 Zerglings are on the way, however, for Darkforce. But still, I don't know how he's going to be able to deal with this army. And GG, actually, coming out from Darkforce. CrunCher is going to take the series 2-0, unbelievable play. I could not believe that. He was able to just outplay him completely in that last battle. The Vortex was such a key role unit in that entire ending battle. I can't fathom how he's able to do that.
And just keeping in mind, he was able to do so despite the fact that he didn't have extended thermal lens.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hydralisks have the same range as an Colossi without extended thermal lens, so it's much easier to kill them. And still, I mean, those Void Rays really did a number on Darkforce.
Yeah.
He just had way too little Corruptors, and those Hydralisks with the help of the Colossus just weren't able to take out the Void Rays as well. So, yeah, really impressive by CrunCher, and Darkforce wasn't up to the challenge.
Yeah, indeed, and Darkforce is going to take the 0-2 loss. CrunCher just playing outstanding. I could not... Like, his army composition the whole time was amazing. As you said, the Void Rays were able to just clean up every single time. In both of those games, it really showed. So, a huge congratulations to him for winning his series in the first North American Star League match. We're going to go straight into the fourth match. It is going to be featuring Fnatic's TT1 against Dignitas's show. We are going to have that set up momentarily.